Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to my Facebook page. As I said yesterday, I would like to talk about IELTS speaking part 1. So today I'm going to share some uh, tips and tricks for the candidates who is gonna sit for IELTS. Basically, in IELTS speaking, you will get three parts. First part you will get like is quite introduction between you and examiner, and it will long like for nearly 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, and he's gonna ask you some general questions. For example, it can be either relates to your study, job, or hobbies, or it can be your hometown. And so basically, this is like a short introduction, because the examiner will be introducing him first, and then he's gonna uh, ask you some questions regarding the topic. And in part 2 basically is quite important, because you are supposed to talk within 2 minutes. So examiner will give you a specific topic. It can be a different topic, for example, um, like travel, or it can be like an event you attended. So part 2, you should stick on it. And in part 3, basically it relates to part 2. Most of the time the examiner gonna ask you some questions regarding part 2. So but the difference is, in part 3 you are supposed to elaborate your answers in a broad way. So I'm not gonna talking about part 1, part 2 and part 3. So today I'll be focusing on part 1. In part 1, what happens, uh, the examiner will ask you about you. Basically, is, as I said, is quite introduction. So he will introduce himself first before you, and then he's gonna ask you about your name, and about your like, um, it can be different, anything like, he's gonna ask you about hometowns, where are you from, and or you can he can ask you about hobbies, and it can be like relates to your job if you're doing job, or study if you're studying. So it depends basically. So it doesn't matter what topic you are talking about. The most important thing is here, you should be relaxed, and you should be confident, because first impression is crucial for speaking. If you can impress an examiner, you'll get a good score, obviously. So the every candidates should concern about that, and they should speak in a natural way, like as they talk with their friends. So they should think when they're speaking, it's like a familiar environment, and the answer should be short, because he's gonna ask you short questions. In part 1, I'm talking about part 1. So you should reply your answers regarding or following by the questions. In part 1, what happens, most of the examiner, I think, because I've been set files, and I know basically and I spoke to some candidates, and they said me they feel bored, and they don't feel relaxed, because they think like examiner will ask you some unfamiliar questions. As I said, it's quite simple. Part 1, be relaxed, you don't need to be worried, because he's gonna ask you some familiar topic like your hobbies, as I said, your study, your jobs. So these are the questions, you know very well. So you don't need to be worried. Just focus on speaking. And another most important thing, you should speak smoothly, don't need to be speak first. Most of the candidates, they think like they should speak like a British. So examiner will not judging you how British you are. Basically, he's judging, he is focusing how good you are in your speaking, and whether you're doing mistake while speaking, or how fluently you can speak. Like, he's gonna mark your fluency, so it's important speaking. So for this fluency, you should speak as much as you can, and you should make sentences correctly. And so that is why you should focus on grammar before you go for exam, and you should work some grammatical parts to get a good score in IELTS. And for this, to make or to increase your fluency, you should speak a lot. It doesn't matter where you are living or what environment you're getting. It depends on you. Basically, if you intend to speak, you can. So most important thing, you should speak whenever you want, and try to speak English every time, and try to talk about different topics, and try to generalize your answers, because if you practice different topics, you'll get different idea, and you can make answers regarding the different topics. So as I said, in part 1, he will ask you some general questions, and you shouldn't make your answers too long. Just remember, just make the answers short, because it's important. He's not gonna listening for a long time. As I said, it lasts only 4 to 5 minutes. So you have to cover all the short questions within this time, because if the time's up, then he's gonna ask you from part 2. So the altogether in alto speaking, it lasts 15 minutes, basically the total test. So you should divide the times, and you should speak along with the examiner. As long he's asking you questions, you should answer. So these are the important things I wanted to share you. So I hope you will be benefited if you follow my tips, and later I'm gonna give you some like some phrases or you can use while you're speaking, because these are also important. For example, I would say, like, as to begin with your speaking, you can say like well. So this one kind of phrase you can start with that one, and or you can use different phrases like first of all, or secondly, if you move to the second question, second answers or questions. So, or you can, like, if you want to connect your answers, then you can say like similarly, and then, so these are the phrases I'll share with you later. So I hope you guys gonna enjoy the video I made for you, and thanks for staying with me, and see you soon.